Hey, we're Felicity!
And you're hanging out with Rob from Front Row Live.
Upon first listen of you guys, I was like instantly hooked, and I'm like, I'm here to stay. So thanks for taking the time to talk to me, guys.
I don't know if you see the smiles on our face. That means the world to us.
Yeah, we're writing music. That's like stuff that, we love to hear.
We write stuff that just we would want to listen to at the end of the day. So we probably have very similar music tastes at the end of the day, which is always good to meet like-minded people.
I mean, like from the blend of music that you guys are picking from to create your sound, I definitely agree with you guys. I feel like we can just like jam out to whatever is on our playlist every day. Like, so
if we went to the same Warped Tour, we'd probably be the guys at every stage, bumping into the same people.
We'd be in the pit a few times.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, I'm excited to talk about you guys because this is, I mean, like I mentioned, to me, you guys are a relatively new band. I know you guys have been a band for some time now, but let's talk a little bit about the recent signing that you guys had with Adventure Cat Records, as well as Brightly Management. So talk to me about how this kind of happened for you guys and what it was about both of these teams that made you want to say yes to this new partnership.
Yeah. So ironically, we met Dana probably about 2 years ago of Brightly, and she randomly found us on Spotify through like some playlist she was listening to. And at the time we had just released that EP. So she was like, I need to work with this band.
Yeah, well, originally she wanted to be like work with us in like PR and publicity because she owns Big Picture Media, who's a PR company. And we're like, well, our album's already out. We can't really
do anything.
There's not too much to do PR about. Like, we already went on tour. It's like we were ready to start working on like the next record.
Yeah, so she stayed in contact, and we stayed in contact with her while we were writing this record, and would just update her on everything about shows we were playing, big announcements. And then once we finished it, we submitted it to her. She started Brightly, and she said she wanted to manage us. So we were the first band she signed Brightly, and then Adventure Cat was the first one that she pitched us to.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and they were pretty interested at that point, from what I remember. And
this was like right in the beginning of.
Yeah, this was the beginning. So this was a crazy experience for us as well. Like, we were unsure what to expect with who would be interested in things like that. And Adventure Cat was definitely, very interested in what we had to present and the music that we were doing. And Mike Kaminsky and Matt Clark, running that label, it's a pleasure to like be working with them as well. So like when we had a few meetings with each other, they just were like-minded in like the goals that we wanted for the band and like to get as far as we possibly can. And we just felt like it was a perfect combination. And in tandem with Dana and Katie at Brightly Management, we just thought it was like a perfect team to surround ourselves with. And it kind of all came full circle at the end. And we inked the deal, man.
Yeah.
I feel you guys definitely lucked out with this team, just because I've worked with all four of them for so many years. And like, when I first started my first channel, which was Punk Videos Rock, like they were the four that were always there to help me, open a door, or like they were always there because they were so all about the music, right? So the fact that, Mike and Matt started this record label, and then Dana and Katie started this management company, like it's just like the perfect. Yeah, so you guys are definitely like living the dream with that so far.
It's awesome, man. We have to pinch ourselves every day because we were DIY for like, we've been a band for going on 7 years, and we've been DIY the entire time and have been told no like a million more times than we've ever been told yes. So the fact like we got to a point in our career where people actually were like excited to work with us, it's like humbling.
It's a great
especially as a band. When you're in a band, I don't know if you've ever been in a band, but it's like the first few years being in a band is just like you're surprised how like people won't even treat you like humans. So you're just like treated like get that band out of here. Get your pizza and get out. Here's $20.
Like we're lucky if we go to a show and they're like, "There's a hose outside for water."
You can drink from the hose.
And you're like, "What?
There's a hose, dude. We can drink from behind the venue, man."
What?
They said we can do it. No, it's free. It's free. I swear.
It builds character, though. It builds character. I'll give it that. But it's like Drew said, it's kind of like it's very, very humbling to have people actually care about the music and good people, you know, in the music industry, which is awesome. It's like really refreshing to see, and like to be able to work with them is like even better, you know?
Right. So, and moving forward, as you guys are creating new material, before we touch on your actual singles, I want to talk about this Watermelon Sugar cover that you guys did, because I mean, shit, you guys nailed it. Like, I'm really loving this cover. Like, so talk to me about how you guys came about to making it sound like Felicity and not, you know, and not the original artist.
First thing we had to do was tell Damien no Katy Perry.
Yeah.
He was pretty adamant about that.
Yeah. We were like, we can't be legit, you know, punk band unless we do a pop cover. Like, first of all, you have to earn your stripes.
That's true.
In this scene. So we always wanted to do a cover, and we were like, you know, this past summer we had nothing going on, much like most people in the world, stuck at home. So we were still practicing. We're like, you know, we work with Andrew Wade here in Orlando, and he had we had some time that he had available for us to book. We're like, let's go in and do a cover. And we were trying to pick a song, and it was like a weird time in the music industry, because like a lot of people weren't releasing music because of, like, you couldn't go on tour. So it was like, why release music if you can't go on tour? So Watermelon Sugar was just kind of like the song of the summer, kind of.
It had that summer, that fun feel also that we wanted to bring, that we feel like our music also has. It has that happiness to it as well. So like that song really kind of stuck out to us. And when I was singing it vocally just on my own, it just felt right when I was singing it. Obviously, I was doing the version of Harry Styles at that moment, but when the guys were like saying, let's try this, let's see how this works. And I just remember everyone like starting to learn those parts, and then it started to come together. And we were like, hey, let's go in the studio, let's try this out. And Wade was very like intrigued by it at first. Unsure if we could pull it off, but I think we did.
Yeah,
you know,
intrigued was very good. Word.
The first, it almost didn't happen.
Yeah,
it almost didn't happen. Yeah.
The first version we sent him, he was like, guys, I don't think this is a good idea. Like, he's like, this just sounds like a band trying to cover an original song, and we're like, okay. And he's like, do it again. And it was probably maybe it was the night before.
We redid the entire demo.
We redid everything, and I was like, all right, here we go. And we like just worked at it for hours, and then we submitted to him. And in the morning we showed up, and he's like, guys, and we're like, oh shit. And he's like, this is so much better. This is so much better. We're gonna do this now.
Literally, that's how that song happened. It was almost not gonna happen, to be honest. So it's great to hear that it's had a good reception, you know?
Yeah, it's weird. It's one of those ones where it's like, some people say it sounds too much like the original, and then some people are like, it sounds nothing like the original. And I guess that means you did it right.
I think so.
If you get both ends of the spectrum. Yeah.
Right. How did that impact your creative process? Like being able to create such a major pop song like that and make it your own. So as you move forward to your material, like how do you guys feel that kind of impacted the creative process?
It definitely helps the songwriting process when you like analyze like a pop song and you just look at like the vocal structure, the melodies, the harmonies, how they're piecing everything together, and it's like, oh, okay, so we don't need to make it complicated. It just got to be easy to sing, sounds good,
memorable,
very memorable. So with this record and the ones that we're going to be writing in the future, we're putting big emphasis on hooks and choruses and just trying to make those like the strongest focal points of the song, while keeping the rest of it entertaining as well.
And I think in general, this song of Watermelon Sugar, we just also wanted to capitalize on bringing our own style, like you said, to it, but also saying like, how can we make this unique in a sense where like it doesn't just sound like another cover out there. Let's throw some of our own style in there. You know what I mean? So add a little bit of grit towards the end if you hear like that end chorus as well. So, and I think it came across. So we don't have any more covers coming out for a little while, but hopefully that one did some justice for us out there.
If Harry writes another banger, we'll
and we released it, and then he won a Grammy the next day.
That was
for it.
Yeah.
So it was
that's like, that's why he won a
welcome.
Grammy though.
Right? Harry obviously helped out in that.
I thought we had something to do with that. Thank you, man.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. So.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys decide another cover in the next week or so, maybe even consider Peaches, because that's another one that I feel needs a
Right.
different kind of vibe.
Yeah, for sure.
Good to know. Good to know.
Big
We'll
shot
keep
at
that in the tank, man. The bolt.
So as far as your material goes, you guys have released Pendulum, which is the latest single. And I feel like the single is kind of like a perfect fit for like basically, I guess, this generation, but more importantly, like this past year and a half, because everybody's been so consumed with social media. So what really kickstarted the writing process for this song for you guys? And how much of a rewrite did you guys have to go through before we get the final version that we do today?
Ooh.
Well, that's a
tricky one.
Yeah, that really is a tricky one. I mean, because we definitely, when we had written this song, it was definitely, before a lot of what, the madness that kind of ensued in the world. However, like you said, it definitely rang true to the time that we kind of were faced after. But during that time, we were just thinking about how a lot of us, we noticed ourselves too, being like hooked to all these electronics all the times, and just kind of being focused on that all the time. Like I go out and you would see like people, just dining with each other. No one was talking. Everyone's on their phone and stuff like that. And I just always think that's funny whenever I observe that at times. I mean, I catch myself doing it too, so I don't want to hate on that as well. But I just think it's crazy sometimes how like you can be so detached from like, you can be around a bunch of people, but like you can still be so detached by like all these electronics and things like that. So that's kind of like how that song came to be. And the music video kind of like brought that to life in an aspect as well, where, I had to wear like white contacts and just be in that chair, like kind of like glued to electronics in a sense. So yeah, that's kind of, and a lot of the lyrics deal with, being addicted to things and trying, give me less, give me more, and things like that, just wanting to break away. But it's so hard to do that, in a culture where like you feel like you're always drawn to like those things. You can't even break away from it. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's kind of how my take on those things.
Well, I mean, like also is to go to when you were asking about the songwriting process, just looking at this album as a whole, when we're in pre-pro and we're like adding all our elements and everything we think are cool, we don't know what's going to happen when we go to Wade, because it's like, is he going to like it or is he going to hate it? So we've been on both sides where we think something is going to stay so true, and then it gets to Wade and then we all rewrite it together and it comes out amazing. And then there's stuff we're like, no, this is going to get rewritten. Who cares? And then it ends up passing Wade's approval and ends up staying pretty solid. So, and
that one definitely like, that's probably the heaviest song we've ever written, and it was originally not in that. Like it's in like the tuning is like B flat or something we've never done before, and he really pushed us out of our comfort zone to write in a tuning that low and that heavy. So it's probably the heaviest song we've ever written, but at the same time it's like still really catchy, and I feel like really modern, and it has a good message behind it. So it's a really special one to us, because we all, like, everyone suffers from their own addictions, but no one wants to admit like they're addicted to their cell phone, but like clearly all of us are, and we've been trained to. And so if we can shed a little bit of light on that and just be aware that that's something like a hidden epidemic we feel like going on in the world, then
it's only getting worse. I feel
maybe help out a little bit. But so that's definitely the lowest tuning we've ever written in, the heaviest, and probably the heaviest song on the record, and maybe the heaviest song we'll ever write. Who knows?
I don't know about that.
Yeah, we'll see. But if you've heard like some of our other music too, we do try to like write, like we write like super pop punk songs, and we write some pretty heavy songs like Pendulum, and then we also on this record have some stuff that some like really out there, like we have acoustic stuff finally now that we've always wanted to write. And that was one of the great things about writing a full-length record, was it gave us the opportunity to like experiment. And Pendulum was one of those ones we definitely experimented with a lot, as far as something we probably wouldn't have written a year ago.
It's true.
Yeah.
So with this upcoming like record that you guys are talking about, like, is Wade the main producer for the record, or do you guys have other producers that you guys are working with as well?
For the last 4 to 5 years, Wade has been our go-to producer, just because every time we work with him, we just build a stronger friendship, and the songwriting for us as a whole gets better. We feel like we come out as better musicians. He gives us like talks on how to like better our live performance. He gives us insight on the industry, helps us like meet and connect with other bands and other people.
And he really believes in us too. He pushes us. He's not afraid to tell us when we suck. He's not afraid to really push us out of our comfort zone. And I feel like it's hard to develop that with a producer. And we've only developed it because we've worked with him for like
for the longevity of it.
3 records now.
And there's like even stuff he wants to do that like he'll offer a band and be like, I want to do this, like we can work on it as long, won't charge you. I just want to do it. And they're like so resistant to it, but like us,
we're like, let's be your guinea pig, bro.
Yeah, just throw whatever at us, we'll do it.
Let's throw some mandolin on it, whatever. Let's see what happens.
And so it's just it's a really comfortable.
Not to mention like for us as like our music taste, like he's written like some of our favorite records, like great, especially us being in Central Florida. Like A Day to Remember is like Central Florida, the band. Like you all like, if only one day we could be like A Day to Remember. Like if you're a band in Central Florida and you say you don't look up to them, you're probably lying to yourself.
You're not from Central Florida.
Yeah, you're not from Central Florida. And then you know, like Neck Deep and Real Friends and Ghost Inside and Wage War, like all these amazing albums, and like the one consistent thing is him from all these different genres and all these different bands. And I feel like he does a great job getting the most out of a band. So we're almost like hesitant to go to other producers at this point because we love working with him so much. And every time we top ourselves, like every single time. So yeah, we're just this past record was just us and Andrew Wade locked in a room for a month, for like literally a month straight.
Yeah. And I was just talking to another Florida band, maybe like 2 months ago, Magnolia Park. I don't know if you guys are familiar. Because they work with
Josh from Magnolia Park, working on our last music video.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
hell yeah, because they work with Wade as well. And I was just like, how do artists get some time with Wade? Because I feel like Wade is just so busy after all those records that you kind of mentioned. Like I feel like his career is just nonstop. So the fact that you guys have been able to consistently work with him for some time now, that's pretty awesome. Now, during each session that you guys do work with him, how do you guys feel that he continues to have you guys step out of your comfort zone? And then vice versa, how do you guys feel you challenge him at the same time?
Oh, wow. I think every time that we've worked together, like I mentioned before, we become closer as like friends and like obviously it's a business relationship, but even as friends, like we get more comfortable with one another. So I think it lowers those barriers, and both of us, like us as a band and him, aren't afraid to have like harder conversations. He's not afraid to ask us more personal questions to get the best lyrics and the best emotional performance from us. We're not afraid to ask him, hey, can we actually try this? Because when we first started with him, we didn't want to like ask if we can try any of our ideas because we're like, that's fucking Andrew Wade. Like,
yeah, like who are we?
Who are we to do this? But
yeah, it's very timid at first. You're very, you know what I mean? Just meeting someone like new for the first time.
Yeah, so now we feel comfortable that if like he's working on something, on like a chorus or something, and we have an idea, we're comfortable to like ask him, hey, can we try this? And he is like, yeah, let's do it. And sometimes it stays, sometimes it doesn't. But it's...
I think, and with that token, he's also like, in terms of himself, he's also like, if we do present an idea and he's like, that absolutely like is horrible, that sucks. Like we should not do that. His
bedside manner has gone down.
Yeah,
like we need to be able to tell us when we're being idiots.
We do, because sometimes we'll like try and go too far out of the box, which is not a good thing because you want to be creative as well. But
it's also good to get creative enough. Like it's usually like we're not being creative enough. He's like, you guys are thinking like a band would think in 2009. You guys don't want to be a band in 2009. You want to be in a band in 2021. And like, sometimes people need to tell you that.
You got to be checked. You got to be checked.
For you to believe it. Because it's like, oh, okay, I guess you're right.
During the process, like, for example, right now with Pendulum, like, how would you guys feel you felt challenged? Not necessarily trying something different, but like, were there any portions or sections of this song, whether the writing process or the recording process, that you guys felt like it was just challenging you guys over and over before we got to hear what we hear today?
I think the lyrics, honestly.
Yeah, I think the lyrical content was definitely challenging in terms of like getting the exact concept that we wanted to get across and the message gone through. Also, like in terms of like singing vocally for me, like you know, it was pretty challenging to hit some of those parts for me. But I think the final product is what myself, like I personally wanted vocally, and I think that song, I really, it's one of my favorites on the album. So I think for me, the vocals are very challenging on this song, but
I think it was also like getting the point across in the lyrical content without being like so obvious. Like you could listen to it and think it's about being addicted to a drug, or it could be being addicted to a toxic relationship. It's not like spoon fed to you. It's about being addicted to social media. It's really like we have to tell people it's about that, and the music video helps tell that. But if you listen to it, the lyric content, it's not like it's so blatant. So I feel like our lyrics might have been like maybe spoon feeding the concept a little bit, and he kind of helped us make it more open ended, so it could be relatable to anybody. And then also when we were writing a lot of the verses, he definitely made us go out of our comfort zone as far as like melodies and be like, who do you guys listen to outside of rock that you guys look up to? And for Pendulum, we were like, oh, well, like Post Malone is someone that we all like idolize and look up to outside of rock music. And he's like, all right, well, like go back and think about what Post Malone would do if he was writing this song. And that's kind of that like hiding in the daylight kind of part was like, we kind of like stole that from like something Post Malone we feel like would do, just the way his flow would kind of be. And you may not even notice that hearing it, but like that's like he pushed us to have that inspiration to kind of go outside our comfort zone to write those parts.
Now, as Damien changes his vocal ranges, like he kind of mentioned on this song, how does that impact the instrumental for the rest of the band?
It allows us to be more creative. I feel like if you're kind of limited into a certain like octave range or just in a certain like little pattern, you can only play certain tunings, you can only use certain instruments depending on the timbre of them. But with Damien being able to like be more dynamic with his range, it allows us to use these lower tunings, allows us to use these higher end melodies with the synths and all the different production elements. So I love it because we can be more creative. So,
and going into like the next single we're releasing pretty soon here is like the complete opposite end of songwriting as what you would expect from us after listening to Pendulum, and completely different elements. Like I feel like this album, like our first couple singles with like Hit and Run and Pendulum are like as close as you can get to probably 2 songs being similar on the record, and everything else is like pretty outside the box. So we're really excited to release it because you're gonna hear there's vocal elements that Damien's never done before. You know, there's songs where Damien doesn't scream at all. There's songs like Pendulum where he screams a lot. And there's like songs that remind us more of pop music or like Imagine Dragons or just like all these different influences we love and have. But every time we record like 4 or 6 songs. And so you really got to be like, hey, if we're only giving them 4 songs, we got to have this dialed in. They got to be 4 dope songs. We can't go too outside the box because anyone listening to it would be like, what the hell? But with a full length, you have more room to like, hey, try something completely out of the box because it could be the biggest song you ever release. And if it's not, well, there's 9 other songs, 10 other songs.
Hopefully, like wanna.
So Pendulum was one of those ones I feel like we took a chance. It's something we haven't done before. But like the track we released before that, Hit and Run, is like that's a Felicity
that's
song.
A true
like
Felicity,
if you've been a fan of Felicity, that's like that one's for you.
Yeah.
And then Pendulum, like, you know, people like you get to discover, and that's awesome.
Yeah, it just makes the future writing process a lot more fun, and like we look forward to it more because now we know, hey, we did it successfully with lower tunings, better melodies, etc. So now we're actually like, now we can expand on those and do it again, but better. And just try to top ourselves from what we did last time.
Sick. Well, I can't wait. Like I said earlier, I can't wait for more music from you guys, especially this album. Is like, you guys talking about it just kind of like made me really like anxious about it. So
we've had this album. We recorded this album in 2019. We got the masters, like the final versions, back in January 2020. We were like, let's go. 2020 is our year. Let's start making connections. Call up Dana. Brightly Management. All right, we got a manager now. All right,
we're ready. Let's go.
And then we played our last show March 12th. And we were like, we'll be back. We're gonna release an album. March 12th, we played a show with Sleep on it. And the next day, like the NBA shut down. And then it was just like the rest of the year is just I mean, it's been this ever since. Like it's you know, ever since. So we've had this album for like almost 2 years now. We recorded it 2 years ago at this point now. So to us, it's like we're ready to get it out, man, and let people hear it.